Hello, I am Pastor Sidney of the All Faith Church of Liberation. I wanted to give this message to both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, who are two men who one of them will be entrusted with the leadership of our country. And we don't know which one it will be, but I and we all should pray for both of them that whoever does have that mantle of authority will use it wisely. And this is part of the problem that I think we have to start talking about, directly, whether we are a people that want to have a king and want to have a government that is powerful over us, or whether we are, like the Bible times, interested only in the judges that we all agree to be breaking up problems between us. And that is the only government that they had in the ancient days of Canaan, when the people had come into Canaan, the promised land. All through the book of Judges, there was no king, there was no Senate or Sanhedrin, there was nothing like that. It was all about judges that people agreed to talk to. Deborah, Samuel, all these judges, people all decided, we really agree with Deborah, we agree with her wisdom, or we agree with Samuel, we agree with his wisdom. And that was the only thing holding people to obeying the judgment of those judges. If the judges judged and someone had disagreed, there was nothing holding them. There was no state that forced them to agree. But people tended to agree because it would be really losing face if they had trusted along with the other party the judgment of someone, and the judgment was made and the person didn't agree with it. Well, that would make them look like a sore loser, that kind of thing. I wanted to give both wonderful words from the Bible and also a warning from the Bible. And I would like to, if I can indulge both gentlemen to listen. 1 Samuel 8. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, and this is the judge Samuel, that he had made his sons judges over Israel. And now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah, and there were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, in other words, after money, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah. And he said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people, and all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me. They have rejected that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them out of Egypt, even unto this day wherewith they have forsaken me, and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit ye protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked him of a king. And he said, This will be the manner of a king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he shall appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties. And he will set them ear to the ground, and he will reap his harvest, and make his instruments of war and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give it to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. And he will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because your king which ye had chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. These are the words that were said very early on in the Bible, right after the people had come into Canaan a few generations later. They had lived under the rule of judges, which is, as I say, literally moderators or mediators were chosen. And because of the time they were respected, they became official, but they were originally just very wise people. There were women as well as men who judged the nations, not judged the nations, the whole nation, judged the people. A person having a problem with a neighbor over, some sheep that got away, or somebody hit something, or that kind of thing. That is what judges were for. To do the thing that the law, which had already been given by God, which everybody was keeping for themselves on their own recognizance, things that didn't touch, things like, battles between this fence between people and stuff like that. Where does this fence lie? We'll go to the judge, and the two parties would have that answered. Well, the idea of a king is that, the people uniquely were ruled only directly by God. They were not ruled by a king. They were not ruled by nobility and royal people. So the people getting tired of the old system, they started saying, well, if we were a king like everybody else, well, we'd be better off. And what happened? When King Saul was chosen, very soon after his kingdom was established, the kingdom was broken between the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. And they never got back together. And 10 of the 12 tribes were lost in that time period. And eventually they were all carried off to Babylon. By the end of this book, which was written while they were all in exile in Babylon, they were looking back on their people and looking back on their history, deciding what went wrong, what did we do wrong? Well, we followed kings. And here we are in Babylon under the king of Babylon. And that is the idea that king is exactly against the God of the Jews, the God of the Muslims, the God of the Christians. That God does not like someone else being in charge. He wants to be in charge. And we all then open to him openly, each of us on our own recognizance, following God. That's what the real Christian nation would be. That's what the real Abrahamic faith nation would be, not this ridiculous nationalism, which is literally like in the passage we wrote, kings over thousands, captains over thousands, captains over 50s. In other words, micromanagement of the people so that there is no more freedom. I want to read one more thing, the death of Saul. The death of Saul in 1 Chronicles chapter 10. Now the Philistines fought against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines and fell down slain in Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines followed hard after Saul and after his sons. And the Philistines slew Jonathan and Abinadab and Melishua and the sons of Saul. And the battle went sore against Saul, and the archers hit him, and he was wounded of the archers. And then said Saul to his armor-bearer, draw thy sword, and thrust me through therewith, lest these uncircumcised come and abuse me. And his armor-bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. So Saul took a sword and fell upon it. And when his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise on the sword and died. So Saul died, and his three sons and all his house died together. And all the men of Israel that were in the valley saw that they fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, and that they forsook their cities and fled. Then the Philistines came and dwelt in them. And it came to pass on the morrow, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his sons fallen in Mount Gilboa. And when they stripped him, they took his head and his armor, and they sent him into the land of the Philistines round about to carry the tidings unto their idols and to the people. And they put his armor in the house of their gods, and fastened his head in the temple of Dagon. And when all Jabesh Gilead heard all that the Philistines had done to Saul, they arose, all the valiant men, and took away the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons, and brought them to Jabesh, and buried their bones under the oak in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. So Saul died for his transgression which he committed against the Lord, even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not. And also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it. And he inquired not of the Lord, and therefore he slew him, and turned the kingdom unto David, the son of Jesse. We should not have our minds on petty gain to make power happen. Power should be there as judges to help people work out what they cannot work out of themselves. The only point of having any kind of government is to take care of the things which we, the people, are not able to do ourselves. And there are really few things like that. But those few things should, of course, always have the backing of whatever government we have. The problem that we are facing, Brother Donald, Brother Joe, the problem that we are facing is that external forces to our country have taken an interest in our election. And I'll tell you this, either of you and both of you, you are both being put up in the spotlight for people to see. And if you make a fall, if you make a failing, everybody wants to jump on you. Both of you have dealt with persecution. Both of you have dealt with really unfair amounts of scrutiny on you and your family. This is a ridiculous thing. We need to get over the idea that government is going to save us. We need to get over the idea that we are living for a king or living for the government. We are living for God. We are living for each other. And that is the only thing that we can be sure of. Although we can see that the Bible itself has seen similar situations to what we're dealing with now. Goddess power and God power fighting. People didn't know who to choose. There was a civil war. There was wars between nations. And eventually it ended up being a situation where people were desperate. So they went for a king. And look at King Saul, especially you, Brother Donald Trump. If you really have a chance, get an audiobook and listen to a few of the lines of 1 Samuel, that whole book. And you'll see the rise and fall of Saul. And that's what they want for you, friend. The people in the wings, the rich people who are using you and Brother Joe against each other and hoping that we will all become a dictatorship. You will not be safe if they make you a king. You will not be safe because they will want to, use you as their excuse for everything, their scapegoat for everything, rather than grow up themselves and listen to God themselves and have a government that is based on, or maybe lack of government, perhaps just the people themselves working as a nation to do the right thing. There's a lot to say, and I'm kind of everywhere in a way because I really desperately wanted to talk to both of you. I wanted to talk to both of you to tell you that I hope that you both have a long life, but that we do not see either of you become a king. The idea of a king is desperate. Saul was destroyed by being a king. He ended up friendless, without God, without and his family died before him, and his rival David took over, and it ended up being. So you look at like the kings, people say, oh, the great kings of Israel. There really was only David and Solomon that were considered great. After that, all the rest of them, you can hardly name these names. Jeroboam, Ahab by the end. These were people who were only known as bad people. They were only known as people who hurt the country and hurt each other. Don't go that route, okay? Please don't go that route. Don't let the people who compliment you, the currying of your favor, the obsequious ones, get into your heart and make you wear this crown. I specifically speak to Donald Trump, but I also say to Joe Biden, God bless you, try to resist also that idea to be a crowned person, because that will literally mean the crown of thorns upon you, and you will be destroyed as the country is destroyed. God bless you, and God bless our country. And I hope prosperity comes to both of you, but that the entanglements of these machinations of many international powers can not visit you and can pass over you both, and we can have our country not be broken up into chaos. God bless you. God bless you all.